Hello and welcome back to the review realm. It's Sienna and today we're going to be taking a look at the 1973 film Papillon because according to this poster, it is one of the top 100 films of all time, and every single Tuesday I review one of the films that is on this poster. So stick to the end of the video where you will see me do a random number generator to pick which film I will be reviewing next week, but this week it is Papillon, which does star Steve McQueen as Papillon, Dustin Hoffman as Louis, and is directed by Franklin J. Schaffner. Now, this film did come out in 1973 and has a runtime of about 2 hours and 31 minutes, and the basic plot of this film is that you follow Steve McQueen as he plays Papillon, and he is a convicted felon. He has been convicted of murder. Dun dun dun. However, throughout this whole film, he's like, I'm innocent. So if you do believe him, then he is innocent. But if you don't believe him as a character, then maybe he's guilty and does deserve to be where he is at. But he is a prisoner in France, and he is now getting moved to French Guiana, where he will be doing physical labor. All these prisoners are getting sent there to just do labor to live in this tropical environment where they're at and try and survive. And now none of them are thrilled about this. You know, they have to somewhat try and survive these harsh conditions. But Papillon is determined to escape. He has to serve a life sentence, so he knows there's really no way I'm getting out of this and I am innocent, so I am going to try and escape. And you watch him just try and escape multiple times. That's like his life mission. Now, if you do try and escape the first time, you get 2 years in solitary confinement. And if you try to escape a second time and get caught again, then you have to serve 5 years in solitary confinement, which does play a role within this film, the solitary confinement. And really, you follow Papillon and his grit and determination to just try and survive. Basically, he is not going to become a puppet for these guards and the corruption that is occurring in this environment. He's like, you can either kill me or I am going to escape, and those are my only two options, so do your worst. And they really do their worst. You see him after he does escape the first time, he gets caught again, and he's in solitary confinement. He almost dies, but he's like eating bugs, which disgusting. I'd probably rather just die and be like, just shoot me already. Ain't no way I'm eating a bug. So that's a side point. That was gross to watch. I'm not even gonna lie. I was like, oh, sorry. Anyway, but you just follow him trying to survive these harsh conditions, and then it also does depict the corruption where money is king. So if you have money, maybe you can bribe a guard, maybe you can try to escape. You also see him negotiate, and you see him try and escape in different ways every time he does try to escape. And then once he escapes, it's like, well, now how do I get caught? And then he somehow gets caught. Like, it's just so stressful watching him because it's like this repeated cycle. He's like, okay, I'm going to escape. I got a plan. Some people are going to help me out. Cool beans. He escapes. Then he's like out on his own, doesn't know who to trust. Boom, gets caught again. And it is just like everything. It feels like you're watching like the same film, but they do like little twists, so it does create like, oh my gosh, he's gonna get killed. And you just like Papillon by the end of this film. You're like, he is just super determined. Honestly, you kind of want him to escape, and that is all cool beans. Now, you do kind of have a opposite person who is played by Dustin Hoffman, and he is Louis. Now, he is convicted for doing counterfeits. Now, he is very wealthy, which is kind of a problem in prison because people want to kill him and take his money, so then maybe they can bribe or get out of this prison. Now, he has a lot of money, so it's useful for him to use his brain and his money to get good conditions within this prison. But you see sort of this contrast between Louis and Papillon, where Papillon doesn't care about the money. He will not be owned. He is just going to escape. That is his goal from the very beginning, from the start of this film. He is going to escape. While Louis, from the beginning, he doesn't want to escape. He kind of just wants to, whatever, chill, do his thing, live in good conditions. He's kind of settled with, this is where my life is, and I just kind of have to deal with it. And he becomes content. And you see that over time. He does become content, while Papillon is never content. So it's this contrast between two characters who are in the exact same position, that one becomes content and one is never content. He is going to get out. And it does just show these two parallel ideas, that if you were in prison and it would be very hard to escape, like if you escape, your chances of dying are 99%, just either by the jungle or there's hunters. There's all these dangers, so you are going to die. But one is content with being in prison. He's fine with being owned by the guards. He'll kiss up to people, that's okay. And Papillon is, no, you can't break me. You will never break me. And that's really the heart of this story, that Papillon would rather be driven mad for his need to escape than to ever be owned or to not be a free man. So you do see eventually like this struggle kind of turn him crazy. It's all he thinks about. It drives him mad in some sense towards the end of the film, which is really interesting, but it does show his grit in life and his determination to be a free man. So it is in some sense sort of an inspirational film. Like, you can't break me. You may be able to kill me, but you can't break my soul or my drive. And that is really the character of Papillon, which is really refreshing and nice to watch. Now, this film is very similar, I would say, to Shawshank Redemption. You know, a criminal trying to break out of prison who is supposedly innocent. Believe it or not, whatever you choose to believe. If you do believe Papillon at his word, then he is innocent. But I would say Shawshank Redemption, I do like that film more than Papillon, although I do really enjoy Papillon as well. I was actually pleasantly surprised by this film. I really did enjoy it, and I think it does a good job of showing determination and a struggle in a hard environment, because you do see him do just kind of crazy stuff, like eating bugs, which was absolutely disgusting. Now, it does have a longer runtime of 2 hours and 31 minutes, which it could be a lot shorter. It does drag in areas, especially since you just kind of see him repeating the same steps. Okay, create a plan, get the money, now escape, then get caught. And then this happens throughout the whole film, so you are sort of watching the same steps unfold. So I'd say they could have really shortened it down, and also his solitary confinement. I understand that they were trying to show how harsh, like, he is going to die. Basically, the solitary confinement is driving him mad, making him crazy, all these things. I think they could have shortened it a bit, but I do think that long stretch also does, like, someone is living in complete darkness and no talking this whole time, and for 2 years, so it does make sense that that part's longer, so the audience kind of can relate, like, oh my, like, if you were just in one cell for 2 years, it would just feel so long. So in that sense, I do think it's like an illustration, but they could have shortened it, especially towards the end of the film. There was a couple parts they could have definitely cut out that weren't necessarily needed within this film to illustrate their points, but overall, it was still a really enjoyable film, and I would recommend Papillon if you are definitely into kind of like prison films. Now, is it historically accurate? Not really. So if you are like a super history nerd, it might trigger you a lot. But if you are into Shawshank Redemption, this is definitely a film that is worth checking out. Now, let me know your thoughts down in the comment section down below if you have seen Papillon or the 2017 remake, and if I should check that out, because I haven't seen it, but maybe it's worth checking out. I don't know. Let me know in the comment section down below. But now it is time for the random number generator, and we got 18, so 10, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and it is The Godfather. Actually kind of perfect timing, just with some recent events in the news. So we are going to be watching The Godfather, and you'll be hearing my review. I have seen it before, so you'll hear my thoughts next week, but have a great day. Bye!